So while we're waiting on the other player, let's take a look at these deck lists here. So it looks like we have our Unicorn on Shiro Shinjo doing a Scouted Terrain. This deck is about turning provinces face up and then playing Scouted Terrain to be able to attack the Stronghold. So we see Forged Edict and calling in favors as the splash there. Forged Edict to cancel cancels on Scouted Terrain, basically. So Seeker of Void, Pilgrimage, and we see Border Fortress upholding authority in Khan's Ordu. Other than that, it looks fairly standard. Ambusher and Wayfinders for conflict characters. This is an interesting deck that we've seen play. Should be a lot of fun to watch. So that is the Unicorn and our Dragon, and it looks like our game is going. And our Dragon looks interesting. It's slightly different. It's running Gossip, Seeker of Void. So it looks like a fairly standard monk deck, but not the same Great Splash that we're used to seeing with duelist training. So not really a dueling focused one. So we'll see how this game goes. Let's go ahead and get a look into the game. So players are just setting up. So let's wait for them to go. We'll see how our flops are. And I am eating, so if I'm silent for a moment, it is because I'm eating and you don't have to hear that. All right, so we see here on the Dragon, we see Yoshi, an Investigator flipped, a Cycle of Rebirth, and a Monastery. We see Cycle of Rebirth used to shuffle away the Way Station Trader on the Unicorn side, and in its place it gets a Yasamura, and we see two Shinjo Gunsos and an Imperial Storehouse on Unicorn side. Gunso purchased. And let's see, they grab a Yasamura with the Gunso purchase. We see Investigator bought with 2 from our Dragon side. All right, we see an Initiate bought with 1 and a duplicate of Yasamura played. Both players bid 5 for the draw phase. So Unicorn obviously looking for Scouted Terrain, and Dragon just always wants cards. So we're going to see bid 5 most of this game, I'm sure. If you're out there in the chat and you can hear me, please let me know, and feel free to correct all the mistakes that I made. So we see a political Earth attack into Pilgrimage here by our Dragon player. So they'll still get at least 1 card out of hand with the Investigator ability. They've got 1 Fate, just enough to be able to trigger that. But if they don't break this Pilgrimage, they won't get that Earth Ring trigger. Mike is breaking up a bit, huh? Let me see if I can do anything about that. All right, and so we see the Gunso defend there. And with the Investigator, we see Ambusher to be discarded. So there's no other Ambushers in hand. So if Unicorn manages to break this Upholding Authority, we'll see additional cards discarded. And there are already 2 Scouted Terrain in hand. So if this Upholding Authority breaks, we can see both those Scouted Terrains go. Also in hand for Unicorn, we see Assassination, 2 Cavalry Reserves, a Courage Blade, a Forged Edict, and a Rout. All right, looks like Unicorn chooses not to break that Upholding Authority. He doesn't want to lose those Scouted Terrains. So we're going to see this Initiate attack in, and no fate for it to be able to trigger its ability to honor itself. So it looks like we're going to see a military void poke, and they run into Border Fortress. So Border Fortress is going to assist with turning those provinces face up for scouted terrain. So we see Border Fortress used, it reveals Restoration of Balance, and then High House of Light trigger to protect Tagashi Initiate. Who we see Hurricane Punch and Fine Katana played on. Yeah, you got to scout that terrain. Christian, was this originally your deck that you designed? I know you played it. You were the first person I saw play it, but I don't know if you were the architect of the deck or just a player. Cool. So you'll definitely be able to call me on all my mistakes that I make with the deck since it was yours. But we do see Border Fortress break here, and we see an attack here with the Fire Ring and Dishonoring Kitsuki Investigator, revealing yet another one of Dragon's provinces. So one more province to reveal, and then those scattered terrains are online. And this Kitsuki Investigator being dishonored, not going to be very powerful stat-wise. Still going to be useful to get rid of cards from hand, though. So on the Dragon's flop, we see 2 monasteries and a favorable ground, as well as a monastery protector. On the Unicorn side, we see Gunzo purchased and a way station trader retrieved with Gunzo's ability. We see a Moto youth, a Itako infantry, and I don't recognize this card, a Shona here on the Unicorn side. And so we do see Monastery Protector bought with no additional fate from the Dragon side. So they're probably going to just be banking fate going into the later turns. We might see scouting into Chased on the first attack here. Yeah, Unicorn does buy the rest of their characters with 1 fate each, and still has 5 fate. So that is enough for scouted terrain and chasing the sun. So we could see that, and there is 2 fate on this air ring in case they do need additional fate. Yeah, and chat reminding me that we also have the Waystation Trader that can get additional fate here. But we do see Gossip played. I imagine Scouted Terrain is going to be the named card. We do know that Unicorn already has 2 in hand. Yeah, so no Scouted Terrain this turn. So we'll see what Unicorn decides to do. They're still going to get that province flipped over, I'm sure. Void Poke, maybe. I think Air Poke just to get the fate. The more fate, the better. And this is Shameful Display, and it's a military attack, so we're going to see the Monastery Protector defend, and we'll see very likely a Shameful Display trigger. Yeah, and there we do. We see Shameful used to honor the Monastery Protector and dishonor that traitor. All right, and it does look like Dragon is going to win that conflict. Uh, I imagine we see a political poke here with this investigator to get a card out of hand. Um, so it looks like Earth's trying to get another card out of hand. I wonder if there's a court games to honor this investigator, or if they just don't want to do it because they don't want to break this upholding authority. All right, and we see a defense with the infantry and the gunso here. So Unicorn currently winning this conflict. So that potentially allows for a court games to honor this investigator. Yeah, would shut off the investigator's ability, um, but it looks like they decide to pass. So maybe they don't have captive audience. We're going to get to take a look at Unicorn's hand here as the investigator uses it. So we see assassination, 2 cav reserves, which we already knew, 2 curved blades, 4 edict route, all 3 salvage remains now. And then 2 Utic tactics. And we see Forged Edict discarded. Not getting rid of that second ambusher. So I think getting rid of that second ambusher, just in case they do attack into upholding authority or restoration for whatever reason, could be good. But we do see Shinjo Ambusher discarded to the Earth Ring, and Indomitable Will to keep the investigator standing. I'm breaking up again, huh? All right, not sure if that's better. All right, and so now we're seeing a military void poke with this investigator after Unicorn passes their conflict. And this is Temple of Dragons. So investigators can go away here as they get to trigger the void ring, and then we're going to see an all-in defense. All right, so we see Hawk Tattoo used. I imagine we're going to be seeing some Void Fists here. Yeah, and um, they should have known it was Temple based off of open deck lists, because Khan's Ordu is typically on the Stronghold. And with everything that's turned up, they should have known what that was. So we do see a Void Fist used to send Shono home, and let go to discard the Curved Blade, and then Iron Foundation Stance to be the 5th card with the 2 Sacred Sanctuaries to allow a Fate to get placed on this Monastery Protector. And then we do see a Bonsai and a Fine Katana placed on this Katsuki Investigator that will get Dragon up to strength to be able to break this temple. Yeah, and so now Dragon's going to at least have 1 character on the board next turn. They've got 2 broken provinces, so they're at least making some headway here. But they are down 6 cards to 11, and we do know Unicorn's hand pretty well here. I'd have to scroll back up in the chat to look at it, though. But we've seen it twice because of this investigator. So we see on the flop for Dragon a Mitsu and a Doom Shigenja as well as a favorable ground. We see Mitsu purchased with no additional fate. On the Unicorn side, we see another infantry, a Vanguard, um, Tetsuko, right? That's what that card is. And a, let's see, what is this last one here? A Mediator on the Unicorn side. Yeah, so Tetsuko is going to be nice when attacking, increases the cost of all the cards that Dragon plays by one. So we see the infantry purchased with 1, and the Mediator and Vanguard each purchased with 0 additional. And Dragon passed after buying Mitsu. I imagine we see this Tetsuko come in, and we do there with 1 fate. And so the question is, does Dragon have another Gossip? Yeah, you could have done Tetsuko with 5. But we do see Season of War used, and we see Yokuni, Tranquil Philosopher, and Gaijutsu flipped, as well as the Season of War, and we see Season of War used by the Dragon. Before I even got to see what the Unicorn side was. But this time on Unicorn, we see 2 Yurts, a Waystation Trader, and a Twilight Rider. And on Dragon, we see another Season of War, which gets used. So Unicorn down to just 3 cards in their Dynasty deck. And we see Dragon just pass after using that second Season of War. Unicorn commenting that it was a whole year of war after all of those were played. So we see 2 Merchant of Curiosities and a Yurt. A Yurt gets used to give each player 2 honor and gives a duplicate of Tetsuku. And then we see another Shono here on the Unicorn side. On Dragon, we've currently got a Visionary, another Monastery Protector, a Yoshi, and another Gaijutsu. And we see bids of 1 to 5 here. So bringing the Unicorn player down to 6 honor, but only 7 cards in hand for Dragon versus 16 for Unicorn. And Dragon definitely wants cards to play because of their stronghold. Getting fate on their characters requires 5 cards to play. Yeah, so an air ring break here does shuffle the deck, which they'll lose 5 honor and then 1 stolen from the air ring. So as Christian points out there, so this breaking could be game for the Dragon player. So let's see how Unicorn decides to defend this. Yeah, this is the last turn. It's looking like it does look like a pretty heavy defense here from Unicorn. I imagine Dragon thinks they have just what they need to be able to win this conflict, going at Pilgrimage here instead of upholding authority. All right, so yeah, we see a fairly wide defense with both infantries, the youth, the mediator, and the merchant of curiosities. So I imagine that we're going to see a void fist coming down from Mitsu to send some of these characters home. We'll also probably see hurricane punches. So unicorn games go fast, that is for sure. So let's see. What is we see Hawk Tattoo used to bring in the Monastery Protector. And what's in the discard? So we see a Hurricane Punch and a Void Fist and an Iron Foundation stance in the discard that Mitsu could potentially use. And this Monastery Protector bringing in 7 skill should be enough to Void Fist any of these characters, because these infantries are both representing currently 5 skill. So we do see Hurricane Punch played on Mitsu. Dragon has only played 1 Gossip, but if they win this conflict and break Pilgrimage, they're not going to need another one, because that will dishonor Unicorn here. All right, and we see another Hurricane Punch played. And Mitsu used to trigger Hurricane Punch as well. And so I imagine we're going to see a Void Fist here. They probably have one in their hand. Otherwise, I think they should have used Mitsu to play the Void Fist from their discard pile. Because sending one of these infantry home reduces 6 skill on the Unicorn side. To get up to 20, and then a Wayfinder is played by Unicorn, bring them up to 20. So a Void Fist would be so useful right now. And so if they don't have one in hand, playing the Hurricane Punch with Mitsu, I think was the defining play if they can't send a character home. And it looks like, because they're still playing characters, that they probably don't have a Void Fist in hand. I see High House of Light used to put a Fate on Mitsu. And uh, Pilgrimage does not break. So I imagine here we see Scouted Terrain, and we see a Chasing the Sun to deny Sacred Sanctuary. Yeah, and then a Cavalry Reserves to break it. But with Chasing the Sun, no one's going to be able to defend unless there's a way to bury these characters, and no fate for Hawk Tattoo, actually. So I think that's going to be game. And so I think the Punch instead of the Void Fist was the misplay for Dragon here. Yeah, I mean, Tetsuko isn't even the one saying no here. No fate for even a Hawk Tattoo, even without Tetsuko. So no way to get anybody into this conflict. So there we do see Chasing the Sun for Sacred Sanctuary. And with this 5 strength, that is enough to take. No Cav reserves needed. All right, and there we do see the GG from both players. And I have been told we're going to go straight into a second game after this. So what I'm going to do is I'll keep streaming, but I'll stop the recording here and then start up a new recording for the second game. So we'll see here what the next game is.